If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
And welcome. Well, what another terrific Tuesday. I trust and pray that we can find, without digging too deep, what's all the blessings that come from on high. 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. Let's have some open line. Let's take the opportunity to share with our listeners all that's on our minds. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255. Courtesy of Flow.
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Joining us. And welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. You ever feel like you do something so much that sometimes you can do it in your sleep, but then you realize, you better not take it for granted? Well, listen, it's one of those days where I bet you know, this time so last year, we were all, well into the midst of planning or, sort of resolutions, the things that we're going to pursue for that new year. And maybe, there are some of us who say, hands behind the puppets, always knew what's going to be happening. But for the most of us, we probably got caught off guard. Well, it's a new year. There are many through prayer and petition with just a sense of faith. Others, because of their positive disposition, always looking forward with a bright, cheery face as to what lies ahead. And then there are some who say, you know what, they got to be the captains of their own canoes. They might not have a super yacht to sail, but at least they can row their catboat out and draw the fish pot. Well, where are you now in your mindset, your perspective? Are you, like many, sadly, not just distraught, feel a sense of despair and sadly we have become despondent, but are you like some of us who, no matter what, the sun always shines, even on the darkest, dreariest of days where it seems that it's going to have been raining non-stop, more than 40 days and 40 nights. But even then, there must have been some who had a sense, of hope through their faith, maybe through this, that thing that's ingrained in them, that strength, from within. Are you able to draw on that now, more than ever? And respectfully, not only to be the beacon for others, but for yourselves. Because sometimes, what they say, if you are not in a good state, how can you help others? If you don't have money in your pocket, how can you give someone something? Even if you give it all, But there are many, sadly, who are so selfish, self-serving, and self-centered that they don't see anything other than themselves. Well, maybe that can change. If he doesn't mind, we have two excellent co-workers here, both phenomenal on-air talent, DJ Lynn and Joel Wilson, and they're young, engaged individuals who seem to understand this social media thing. And I would joke and say that's probably because Joel don't have a life outside the studio, but we won't say that, okay? We won't say that. But they're so engaged, and sometimes they share stuff with us. And Wilson shared something just recently of a very, very positive, nurturing, encouraging thing that transpired. Here is this person paying it forward. She saw the need. Perhaps maybe she felt the calling. Maybe she just felt, so inclined and led. I'm doing this. Let me do this also for somebody else. They don't need to know who did it. They just need to know that they were, at that point in time, gifted with something that was obviously going to transpire anyway, but they don't have to worry about lifting a finger to do it, expending $1 to pay for it. It's done, and they can enjoy it. And that's the great thing, You don't need to, what they say, trouble don't blow shell, right? You don't need to come banging bells and declaring, you're a multi-billion-dollar company and you just gave a $50 donation to some charity and you just spent $1,000 to, publish in some advertorial that you did this thing. I'm not trying to disrespect anybody, but thankfully there are many people who may give tens of millions of dollars and you don't even know that they did it. Different strokes for different folks. The question is, as we go forward in this year, where are we in our resolve? Are we going to say, I've always stand for right and stood in the gap, so I'm going to do so even more now than ever because it's necessary? Or have you been the kind of person who said, I never step up to the plate. Always were afraid that if I stick the heat up, somebody will slap it off. And you become sort of conditioned that way. You've been beaten and bruised and battered, so you decide you better not try it again because, once bitten, twice shy, as they say. But you may say, no, man, this year is different. Last year, we survived. We made it through. And therefore, it can't be any worse. No, don't test fate because it can be. So let's give thanks for what is and let's hope for what may be. But whether it's the person for whom you believe has been elevated to a great position, sometimes they need, to be kept in check as well. Sometimes the person who is, by all, other people's accounts are so low down the totem pole that you don't even see them. But you need to reach down and pull them up. Everybody, can and deserve to have the very best. What I say, a rising tide, floats all ships. Well, let's get out the mindset that would say, look at that, my ship finally came in and I was at the airport. Let's make sure that we're all on board so that our last ship leaving the harbor to safety, that we're on board. We leave no one behind. We ensure that not even one single person is in need. That's not idealistic. That's not even unrealistic. It's what it should be. I say that and ask again. Yesterday I made a comment that I've probably made many times in my life. I can't tell you that I've made it necessarily that many times on air. And it's not meant to insult, to be inflammatory or anything. But as I was sharing, would a society be considered very mature and very advanced if that society did not have a need for a government to have to allocate tens of millions of dollars or hundreds of millions of dollars or whatever the sum is or the percentage of the budget to prisons, to a court system, to policing, not because they didn't pay attention to crime, but because the society was so responsible, so civil, that you didn't have, the level of crime. Now, I don't want to use the words white-collar crime or petty crime. Someone does something that infringes on someone else. You walk into someone's yard without permission and you take the mangoes or the coconuts that are on the tree. You could say they're going out to waste, right? But that's still, taking something that is not yours without permission. You can define that how you want. There are laws apparently that we have put in place that gives it a definition for us. But what if, you either A, had a society that immediately knows, listen, you go to the front door, you take it, knock, the person answers, and, they'll even come and help you to take away the breadfruit, the mangoes, the coconuts, the plums and what have you. Or, better yet, the neighbors in the community realize that, these trees bear quite nicely. So that yard has a good mango tree. They'll go, and even the neighbors will come and help. And, you collect it, you put them outside somewhere in the shade, and the other neighbors come and share. Now, you're still getting the benefit of it, but you don't have to feel like someone is coming into your personal private space. There are many of us who believe, that was hanging over the road, that's mine. Or, right, nobody using that, gonna go to waste, that's mine. I know it isn't. Then we get, dogs to deter people, put up security cameras. Sometimes we even, go to other lands. Is that what we want? Well, let's think about it. The new year may give us an opportunity to ask some of those questions that we were unwilling with great, respect for a healthy, safe, civilized democracy, I think it's incumbent upon us, especially in an election year, to ask these questions, not just of those who are in office, appointed, and especially elected, but those who are seeking office. And if we can get to a place where we, as voters, are very informed, very engaged, and very involved, so that when things, laws, policies, programs, projects, and the like are being proposed, we have an insight. We also have had an opportunity to contribute. Not like what seems to be the case here and a lot of other places. There's an inside group who get a preview of what is, being discussed and possibly might come down the pipeline. And so we may say, but that's insider trade. That's a little bit, it may or may not be, legal or illegal or ethical or unethical. But the question is, to what extent are we accepting of that behavior? But not only is the voter so involved and informed, but then the elected person and the person to whom, some appointment has been given, that person also understands the duty of care and responsibility and the notion that there is an expectation of, higher accountability. And so everything functions better. It won't happen overnight, and it won't happen unless there's a significant shift in our collective mindsets. Now, I can tell you honestly that some of this being said, some would say, oh boy, that's not as naive as they come. But really, when we're talking to our children as either parents or as teachers, do we not try to extol the values and virtues of honesty and integrity? Things like, hard work and a strong work ethic. Things like the golden rule, which, for those of us that need to be reminded, is, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And that means to do as best as you can. Not he who has the gun or he who has the gold makes the rule. But that seemingly has become, the mantra for many of us. Well, let's change that paradigm. And with that, as we go to this break, I wish I could repeat it like how the lady said it to me early this morning. An unexpected comment as you was seated, she said to me, and I haven't seen her in the longest of times, and understandably so, because I think many of us have put a limited our movements and our interactions. But she said, and for those of us who may be of that generation might be able to relate to this, she wasn't advocating violence. She was not in any way saying it in an offensive, aggressive way. She says, but some people, they just need a good backhand slap. Now, if you get that, and if you don't, let me see if I can explain it to you after the break. But if you need clarification, why don't you give us a shout? 949-8037, or toll free with the compliments of Flow at 1-800-534-8255. Now, if you want to call Miss Susan personally, let me give you her private line, but check me after 3 for that. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Maintaining a strong mind and body through sports and general healthy living is a good course of action. But what about your spiritual man, your inner man? He has to be awakened, fed, exercised, strengthened, and led according to the will of God. So, have you heard the call? I'm evangelist Brother Joseph Joey Ebanks, and I'm inviting you to worship Wednesday and Thursday nights at 7:30. We are bringing the Word of God to our communities as Jesus commanded. Faith comes by hearing. So come and hear. Bring your own chair or simply park and listen to the Word of God from your vehicle, covering the Cayman Islands with the Word of God, one community at a time.
The road to becoming a British Overseas Territories citizen just became a lot smoother. You can now apply online at online.odg.gov.ky. If you or someone you know needs to be naturalized or registered as a British Overseas Territories citizen, or if you are a citizen and need to replace your lost or damaged certificate, complete the process at online.odg.gov.ky.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Good afternoon. Welcome back. Thank you for joining us. It is Open Line, and I recognize that for some, the year that ended and the year that's beginning seems to be one and the same. And for some, they've had a bit of an extended holiday, and now as Monday rolled in, they just say, it's the first sort of official working day of the year for many. And just got back into the groove, probably trying to do as best as they can and attempt to forget what last year was like. So just pretend that it's all, business as usual. Well, it isn't, and probably shouldn't be either. Now, as we say that, a quick reminder off here, and I really, really appreciate it. The deadline for those who are considering, voting in the next general election, for those who are eligible or think they are or probably are and need to find out, well, you have until, the 20th of January, I think it is, somewhere around there. It hasn't ended yet. So please, doesn't mean that you're going to go on election day to vote. I would strongly encourage us to do so, and when we do from, again, this is just my perspective, from a very, prayerful, considered, informed perspective. For some of us, that may mean that we have a parent or a sibling or a very good friend that we have taken counsel from whom, advice has been great, and they may say, well, we vote in the same area, so I'm going to vote for candidate A or candidate B or whatever the case is. And you might say, well, I'm not quite sure about all of them, but I'm going to follow you. And, once bitten, twice shy. So this time around, you follow them. Maybe the next time you maybe know better, or you may say, boy, that was a good recommendation. But please get registered to vote. So on election day, you have, that right to be able to go out on that day and cast your ballot. And if you choose to, well, that's fine, that's you. But if on that day you want to and you're not registered, then you can't. And that's just sadly how it is. So wouldn't it be better to know that you have prepared your food, and after you cooked it, you can share the meal with everybody. You don't want anything to eat because you don't feel hungry at then, hopefully you'll be able to save it and maybe have it later or the next day. But if you didn't cook, then how can you have, something to eat? And then you got to, maybe rely on the generosity and charity of others, which thankfully seems to be very, very prevalent here. But if you can provide for yourself, even better. So please go out and get registered. It doesn't seem to be a difficult process. Yes, for some it may be a concern that it could be easier, but it is a process. It's probably understandable that it's necessary and how we should do it. So at the end of the day, let's get registered. Now, if you're going to be 18 on election day or any day before election day, then you're still eligible. You can get registered, and then on that day, that would be your birthday present. Maybe you've long seen 18 many moons ago, but you never registered to vote in the past, or you've only now recently become eligible to get registered to vote. Well, 18 or 88, if it's your first time voting, please get registered, consider it, and go out and get involved. And you decide the individual that you want to support on that day. Perhaps if the person gets in, you stay involved and you keep them on their toes, help them to navigate the path. If the person doesn't get in but seems to be offering up something, well, maybe keep them encouraged. It takes a lot. Well, let me hear from you, man. What's on your mind, and what would you like to see for not just this new year, but for generations to come? There are many who, when they talk, for argument's sake, about immigration reform, would say to you, well, we need to see more, and I'll use the word, not necessarily that everybody would agree with it, but more restrictions in place, perhaps more limitations on who can qualify, perhaps a much more sense of commitment to country Then there are those who say, well, really, if you're here and you're here for any period of time, well, that should be in and of itself enough. Well, it could go from one end of the spectrum to the next. Then there are those who say, well, really and truly, the emphasis should be more on education or healthcare. Some would say, well, no, I think we need to look more at developing a greater sense of political independence. And others would say, well, no, that doesn't work. So some would say, well, it isn't so much about that. It's about being financially prudent and stable. And so when we need money to do things with, then we don't have to just borrow. Or if we borrow, we can pay it back, not because we're relying on taxes, whether they're, going to be increased or new taxes, or whether we could have more people to tax, but we have money. You've heard many jurisdictions talk about the sovereign fund that they have set up. Money is coming from different areas that are put aside so that the country can have money to do things with, and not just the operational things to keep government continuing on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, as it were. But then, how many of us can recall our parents and grandparents reminding us that a dollar saved is a dollar earned? So how much expenditure, of our governments, not just this one, not just this time, is necessary? How much that can be reduced, even now? It's not a joke, but when the politicians say it, you got to pay particular attention. They remind us. How many times have you heard them say it? Never let a good crisis go to waste. So with this now, we're seeing governments, probably here as well, but certainly globally, use it as, my word, as an excuse, as a justification to spend more money, to relax certain protocols and procedures and processes in order to get approval for certain things. Maybe it's, planning approval for certain government projects. Maybe it's, a concession granted to development or the like. Maybe it's the process by which people can do or not do, and they use it as a way to, justify perhaps not following the normally accepted process before this whole thing came about. But even with that, and as we spend the money as necessary as we may think it is, as much of a justification as we can for it, is it sustainable? Whether it's in the case of our government, $1 million or $10 million a day, or whatever it is in excess of what we have, or whether we're able to borrow it because we're great. Well, you go to the well, one day it's going to run dry, right? Maybe 100 years from now, maybe 100 days. Let's go to the phones. Good afternoon and welcome, and thanks for calling.
Good afternoon. Happy New Year, Sterling. Happy New Year, Cayman Islands. Happy New Year, Radio Cayman.
Amen. Good afternoon and Happy New Year.
Thank you. God is so good, huh?
Amen.
2020. Yeah. All of that stuff that went on there. Who would have thought that we would have made it through to 2021? Only the grace of God, huh?
Amen. I believe so, yeah.
You were saying we could have called in and say what we wish,
yes,
what our wishes were for the new year and stuff like that.
Please.
Well, for me, for one, I am hoping and praying that the commuters will will ease up a little bit, and remember sometimes that they're not the only one on the road, and that a lot of times there are little children and babies in vehicles on the road, and people not aware because they can't really see their little heads. Mm-hmm. But just remember that have some patience because patience is a virtue for starters, mm-hmm, and it takes us a long way. And I would also like to see the people become who we once were, showing some love to each other, to one another, not even just to strangers, but to family members, because families have grown apart. People have grown apart. Only God knows what the reasons are, but it would be great to see people come back together. Caymanian spirit and the Cayman kind and all that kind of good stuff.
I'm glad you said that, because whether you subscribe to end-time prophecy because of your religion or your teaching and so on, but it doesn't seem like the scripture talk about in the end days, families coming, against each other and the like. And we're seeing that a lot now,
oh, yeah.
that division in our families, the simplest of things, creating the greatest of frustrations for us, spouses, parents and children, best of friends. How do we, if I may ask of you, and others too, Dwayne, if that is really what is happening, how do we move beyond that? How do we address that and make sure, that has not become the norm in 2021 and beyond?
Well, I'm glad you asked that, because that was going to be my next thing to say, that we need to draw closer to God. And once we draw closer to God, He will put everything else in place. He will draw closer to us, and all of those things will fall into place. And even right now, when you see a lot of people losing their homes, their vehicles, their jobs and all that kind of stuff, a lot of people having to go back home to their parents. And, some people, if you weren't close to your parents before, it's going to be very hard for them to go and put the tail between the legs and say, Mama, can I come back home until I get back on my feet? Whereas there are others who can just go and say, Mama, coming home, and Mama will say, come on, you're quite welcome here.
Or she'll come and get you and make sure you're okay, right?
You know what I'm saying? And you know how your mamas like to have control and to rule your life sometimes. They're glad for that opportunity again to tell you how to come and go. And then right there, and then you have to be humble. Because you don't have no options. No, you have to listen to them. If you don't want to listen in the park, you're going to have to listen now, because you're back under their roof again.
Yeah.
And
but
it's not an easy thing.
True. And as you say that, I'm having a conversation with some individuals in my mind who are really experienced, through their working lives, but also have great sort of education and knowledge and learning and the like, right? And so they were sharing that as Cayman looks at growing its population, whether that's something that we're being pushed to do by the UK government, as some have said, because we need this, critical mass or a larger taxable base to have a sustainable economy. According to some, that's what is happening. Or they're being pushed by, external forces, investors who say, man, we need more people here to fill our condos and hotels and our shops and as consumers and what have you, right? Whatever the case is. At the end of the day, they were saying that if we don't look at our infrastructure, including a properly run public transport system, not to say that there isn't a space for what we have now in terms of the privately operated, businesses, the little buses that are running around, whether you own 1 or 10 and you're running a route and you're making money, nothing wrong with that. But equally, public transport system, whether it's a rail system or something else, that gets people safely and on time from A to B and around the space, right? Do you then think that as we look at that, one individual said, but we also need to consider how we're using our lands. So, for instance, to your point, I hope I'm not, in saying this, make it sort of evident, that I'm talking about one person or an individual. But an example was given where a family had what seems like a relatively large piece of land, but from the planning perspective, not a large enough piece of land to accommodate what this extended family was trying to do. So they wanted to take the property and build on it. My words, okay? My words. Like a little village, a little commune for the family, but in a proper way. So as you said, the grandparents are living here, and then their children, so the parents are there, and then those children, the grandchildren are there. And at some point, they all stay within the space, and it keeps the family closer together. Now, one individual said, immediately, you maintain this village-like sense, this tightly knit family as a community. You got extended care for the children, but you also have care for the aging parents and grandparents. Everybody can kind of keep an eye on everybody and the like. But presumably, our planning laws may not accommodate that sort of development in that way that was proposed. You could build a high-rise building on it and so on, and you can build some apartments, but to build it in that way with separate structures presumably isn't allowable. And if that is the case, do we need to look at that to make accommodations for that? Now, again, these are people who probably know more about those things than I do, but are those things that we need to think about?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, for one, and I'll be honest with you, I don't think we need anybody else here to occupy anything. And furthermore, we don't need to be building anything more either, because right now there's so many unoccupied buildings. I mean, what are they building for? Who are they building for? Look at the airport, for example. That's been expanding and expanding and expanding, and there's no flights coming beside the one, two that, that's going on. Everything is closed. Our borders are closed.
Right.
Who are we building for? Why are we tearing up our mangroves? And you want me to get into that, doing
But that's the thing too,
Serious.
I say this, I know that some of the politicians, we believe that they are smarter than well, they're probably not as smart as they think they are, someone, and we believe that they have thicker skins than they do, but they take a lot of beatings and abuse, and sometimes justifiably so. But why is it that we leave in so much of the decisions, the final decisions, to them?
Yes. I really don't. I can't fathom it either.
Yeah.
We just had that discussion yesterday, and what came out of the discussion that we had is that they're sold out. They're not for us. I mean, I'm sorry to say. I mean, I have friends in there. I have people that I know very well, but I don't see where they are standing up on our behalf. I don't see where we're working for the good of us, the Caymanian people. So
if that's the case. Sorry, if I allow me to interject. If that is the case, because that is a perception that sometimes, especially in election year, many voters, or at least those that you hear, they would probably say the same thing. So if the perception is that, well, those politicians are not for us, man, they seem to be for themselves and yada yada, what are we doing about it? Because if they get back in, or if people get in and do the same thing, and in the absence of electoral fraud, and thankfully I don't think we've had any issues with that, any great scale in any of our elections, it obviously means that they're being elected fairly, right? Whether they're buying the votes and influencing people, whether they're promising people things and not delivering, whatever the politics is of the the game, right? But isn't that on us as voters? Because the politicians themselves are voters. We can castigate them, but boy, if we put them in the game and we do nothing about subbing them out when the substitution time comes, isn't that on us as voters? Yeah,
we have to do something about it. We can't just keep. I mean, every 4 years, it's the same thing. Caymanians are not. We're getting the short end of the stick. Let's put it that way. Every 4 years, the stick is getting shorter and shorter.
Yeah.
And it's time for them to do something. They have to do something for us, the people, the voters who vote them in every time. I mean, I don't know what we're going to do.
Well, let me ask maybe one other question, and I appreciate your willingness to talk, and hopefully others would be so encouraged to chip in.
Well, I'm not afraid to talk.
Hey, boy, that's what I like about the women in our society. They're strong women. They stand honorably, and without the representation of our women, our mothers, our sisters, our daughters, this society, with the great respect to our men, they themselves would tell you we wouldn't be where we are.
Exactly.
But let me ask.
Thank you very much for saying that.
No, man, no. I'll be honest with you, man. The women in this society, I'm just honored to know that we have the stature of women that we've had and that we've always had. You know what I'm saying? They're strong women, man. But so let me then ask, right? With that in mind, we hear many times that there's no place for A, Christians in politics, B, honest people in politics, and all of the good things that we want in people, that character of integrity and honesty and all the things, right? We hear that. I mean, I've gone to church and I've heard even the pastor, make that comment from the podium. I've heard it in, different settings. I thought, but something is wrong with that, because without realizing it, we're immediately castigating those that we've elected then, those that we've elected before, and saying, well, they're not honest. And I would be, certainly not the first one to say that's not the case, right?
That's not true. So
how do we get that sense of decency, honesty, integrity, honor in the elected people? I don't subscribe to that we don't have space for those people in there. In fact, I believe that's the people that we should have, and that's the people that we have.
That's the people we need.
Right.
People with conscience and consideration and fairness and honesty,
Okay. So what do we do? How do we get that?
Well, that's a big question you're asking today on the 5th day of the new year.
Of course, man. Big brains think deeply.
How do we get that? I don't know. To be honest with you, I don't really have to dig down and hunt and talk to some old people and get back to you on that one.
Well, would you please?
Because I alone cannot answer that question myself. I've tried over the years.
Well,
it's a very tough question, to be honest.
Yeah, man. I know. I thank you for that, and I appreciate you coming in, and I don't want to belabor it, and certainly don't want to impose any further. Anything else you want to share with us?
I just want to say God has been good to us.
Amen.
We've gone through earthquakes. We've gone, a lot of bad weather came through the last part of the hurricane season. And I keep saying, the 3 little gems in the Caribbean, we are so out there all by ourselves, surrounded by this pile of water and the Cayman Trench and everything else. And these systems have just breathed by us like nothing. Don't you think that there's a reason for that? I keep saying because we're a praying nation, you know, because not everybody has forgotten where they came from, and people are still praying. And for that reason, God has spared us. And I'm sure even through COVID and everything, when a lot of people gave up and some people turned their lives over to God, including me, even though I was a in and out lukewarm Christian, and one foot in and one foot out. I slammed both in there, and I do intend to come back out. I got to be honest with you, because the future is very grim. And people need to realize that we are living in the last days. And Jesus is going to come no matter whether they want to believe it or not. Or whether, I've been hearing that since I was a child. No, he's not come yet. Well, look here. He is drawing closer and closer and closer. And he's right around the corner. And we all need to get our act together. We need to start loving better. We need to start living better. We can't be just doing good, you know. We have to be good ourselves. We have to give our lives to the Lord and trust in him and knowing that he will carry us through, because he's the one that brought us through to 2021. And we do not know what 2021 has to offer. But there's a lot of deception out there, and there's a lot of stuff going to happen. And if you do not have God in your corner, my friends, we're going to all perish. So I just want to say that we need to draw closer to God, and he will draw closer to us. And I just want to say have a wonderful year. And Radio Cayman has been there, stalwart in our community, just being there for us no matter what, through thick and thin, you know. So I just want to say keep up the good work. God bless, and God bless the 3 Cayman Islands. Have a wonderful afternoon.
You too. Blessings to you, man. And that's the positivity, the honesty, and many times, you know, the forthrightness of our discussions that we should have. As a good friend reminded me earlier in a quick chat before the show, he said, you know, not everybody likes straight talk, but I think that's good that some of us do. All right, I got to crave Miss Susan's indulgence. We're going to take the next call. Good afternoon and welcome. Thank you for calling.
Good afternoon, Dwayne.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Fine. Happy New Year to you. Happy New Year to all the Radio Cayman staff.
Blessings and Happy New Year to you and your entire family.
May a prosperous New Year come in with blessings and everything. Like that caller just said, yes, we have a lot to be thankful for. We got a lot because the whole world is falling apart around us. And we need to keep forth on, like our forefathers said, keep praying, because the devil is out there, is trying to divide and conquer. We need to stay positive.
Amen. Yeah.
And we need to stay
positive. Yep. Stay the course.
We need to stick to what our forefathers had for us, blessings, prayer, and everything. Yep. Okay, well, that's all I want to say. I want to say Happy New Year to you guys and Happy to the whole Cayman Island. All
right, well, thank you too, man. And blessings to you for not only continued favor and grace and mercy, you know, as we move forward in what could very well be a very tumultuous time, not just in our history, but in the world. So, as you remind us, you know, what's our song we used to sing as children in Sunday school, and perhaps even in devotion in school? He's got the whole world in his hands.
Exactly. He's got the whole world in his hands.
Yeah. Well,
a button is he can take us all and he can save us all.
Well, this is the time, you know, to draw together as a family, to draw on our strength and draw on our faith and draw on what, you know, we should see as important, a time of prayer. And as the caller prior to you reminded us, it's 3 small islands surrounded by a lot of deep water, and yet we've been sustained, you know.
Yes, I was going to say that for her. She's 100% surrounded by lots of water, but thank God we still hold on to God. And as long as we hold on to him, he'll hold on to us.
Yeah, man. Well, thank you very much. All right.
You're welcome, Dwayne.
Have a blessed day as well. Listen, it doesn't mean that you're not feeling a whole lot of anguish, anxiety, and apprehension. It doesn't mean that you're sitting there going, wait a minute, this is only day 5 of the first month of this year now, and you already broke, and you thought it was bad last year. Listen, there are a lot of people who are very, 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 you know, beaten and feeling downtrodden. And even when you see on them, a good face and they're trying to put a good foot forward, you might even know that they have it really hard. And perhaps they subscribe to the scripture that talks about, call those things that aren't as if they were. But equally, be reminded, faith without works is dead. So maybe you can draw alongside that person. For them, they just may need a couple of dollars. For them, it may be a couple of dollars times a million. If you can help, you help. Not foolishly, a fool and his money is soon parted, they tell us. But how do we draw alongside of those, not only that we know closely and have been intimately involved with over the years, but in a prayerful, purposeful manner to move our country forward in a very positive, productive, way that gives us a sense of purpose. All right, I want to hear from you, man. And you don't have to agree with me. You can say, boy, you must have got it all good. Can't be nothing wrong with your life. Well, you know what? We got life, we got strength, we got health. And with health, there's hope. And with hope and a willingness to work, sometimes, you just find that it comes because you are, willing to abide in faith. 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. You can try to WhatsApp. Let's see if it works. 925-3261. But I want to hear from you. I know. Easier sometimes to talk to somebody than it is to maybe put what you want to say in writing. There are many of us who prefer to write. That's fine. Either way, it's important that you know that there's a safe, secure, nurturing place for you to express your thoughts and opinions, and certainly you'll feel welcome and encouraged. All right, we'll pause and we'll take the break. When we come back after our news headlines, we want to hear from you, so please stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio K-Man's Super Jam Show, the #1 drive time entertainment show on your radio. Enjoy your mix of pop, hip-hop, dancehall,
urban gospel.
The Super Jam Show is
brought to you by these kind sponsors.
The Cayman Islands Football Association, CIFA, building a better future for Cayman football.
Cayman Insurance Center. Don't take chances with your family's future.
The University of the West Indies Open Campus.
Find your place in the Cayman Dream today. The UWI Open Campus, on-site, online, and on demand.
Visit open.uwi.edu. Call them today at 946-8322. Train with Dre. Train with Dre's lunch weight loss program. Get your meals right and lose weight today. No excuses, no gimmicks. Call Dre today at 928-3420.
The Super Jam on Radio Cayman.
The #1 drive time entertainment show on your radio.
From district to district, moving through the waters to Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. Your station, your voice. All things Cayman. One radio, many people. This is home.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
It's only 2 species that we have, on the island.
Generations present.
Your voice, your choice.
It is in the best interest of the people of these islands.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. The Cayman Islands government is set to receive its first shipment of the vaccine on the British Airways flight this afternoon. Pfizer-BioNTech was the first vaccine to receive clearance in the UK and has since been approved by healthcare regulatory agencies around the world, including the US and Canada. In international news, a Buckingham Palace catering assistant who stole medals and photographs from the Queen's residence has been jailed. Adamo Canto stole items including a signed photo of the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge and a photo album of U.S. President Donald Trump's UK visit. Police said some of the goods worth between £10,000 and £100,000 had been listed for sale on eBay. The leader of the far-right Proud Boys group in Washington, D.C. on suspicion of burning a Black Lives Matter flag last month. He has reportedly admitted torching a banner taken from a black church during a rally in December in the city. A newly elected Congresswoman has pledged to carry a Glock handgun during her term in Washington, D.C. In a video released on Sunday, Republican Lauren Boebert is shown loading a handgun before walking around the city. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
your voice, your choice, your radio.
Talk today.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back, and thanks for sharing with us. 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255, or you can WhatsApp 925-3261. Appreciate those last two contributors as they called and shared their comments with us. As always, we all have a different sort of perspectives and maybe shaped by our experiences, but sometimes despite of the bad, the hurt, and all the other ill that we may feel, we still remain positive. Man, that's encouraging. Let's go to the phones. Good afternoon and welcome. Thank you for calling.
Good afternoon to you, Sterling Green, and Happy New Year to you.
And to you, sir. Happy New Year. Blessings for continued health to you, sir. Good afternoon.
Yes. Thank you. There's a lot that I would like to see, but I won't see a lot of things that I think are important. When I call it, it's just my personal opinion and give.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's strange, is it not, that the legal voting age is 18 years old, isn't it?
18, yes.
But yet you can register and be accepted to be an elector when you're not 18.
Once you turn 18 on or
That's
before.
strange. Isn't that strange?
Yeah, once the election is on the day of or before your 18th birthday.
But shouldn't it then be that the day you're registering, if you're 18, on that day, then you're legally registered to vote? That's just my opinion.
Okay. But what do you...
You're voting, you're registering to vote when you're not legally really qualified to be a voter.
Right.
It's a strange.
But
strange.
For some, yeah. Why is that though? Because why do you think that is the case? I mean, why is that strange to you?
I don't know. To me, it's strange because you should not be able to be registered to be a voter or an elector if you're not of the age to be an elector.
Okay. What can I then ask you then? I hear
that should be extended to maybe 3 weeks before elections, like it is in many places. I don't know.
Well, okay. But what about places that immediately register you at birth? I mean, I don't know. But let me then ask you, right? What is your view then? You're 18 as a registered voter.
There's 21 years old.
Right. If I can ask you then, what do you make of this then? You have to be 18 or older to be eligible to vote once you satisfy all the other criteria. But the age at which you can stand as a candidate to be elected to the Legislative Assembly, I think it's 21. Do you think that...
I would put it much further than that. I'd put it to be about 30.
But if you're old enough to vote, shouldn't you be old enough to stand for election?
I don't really think so. You haven't really matured enough. That's my personal opinion.
Yes, sir. I respect that.
I would put it to about 30 years old.
Why not 60? Because, I mean, some of the men there probably don't mature until they're 80.
No. Yeah, we know all that.
Okay, let's get
my mind, what I'm saying in my mind, you could have a limit for that also.
Mm-hmm.
Because you've got to realize that people between the ages of 18 or even 21 to 25 will have a very different view in their mind about things.
Right.
That time. And, once I listened to people talking a while ago, just I just heard of it, we tend to think that the people that we elect are superhumans or that they should be perfect, that they should be morally perfect. We tend to think, because we ourselves as humans, we always tend to look at the worst about people. That's how we do things. It's just a natural instinct with us. As Shakespeare says, the good is interred with our bones, the evil lives after us. But this is a tendency for us. We elect people, and then we tend to criticize and look at them and critique everything that they're doing and think, well, this should have been done and that should have been done. We have to realize, and one of the main things that I'm disappointed in over the years is that when our elected representatives, now members of parliament, thank God, have that changed, more sophisticated and autonomous and more correct in my view. We tend to look at them and then think that they are, they should have been perfect, and we elected them, and now they are, the everything that we personally, each individual person thought it'd be. This is why we keep saying, I hear people saying that we should come back to us and discuss this with us, that with us. That's why we have elections, that they're our voice. We can't have
but respectfully, sir,
23,000 people deciding on every issue. That's why we
no, I hear you, but can they, respectfully, can they extend our voice, be our voice, if they have not heard our opinions or involved us in the discussions, even if it's
what discussions?
So let's say, for instance, sorry, no, go ahead, sir. Go ahead. Let me listen to you.
No. What I'm saying is, it's good for us to talk about discussions. They have a time limit. They have 4 years to carry out whatever promises they made on their. My personal opinion should be moved to 5 years. I've saw that, and many people think so.
Why not 3? I mean,
no, 3. It used to be 2. But that's not good enough. That's not long enough to carry out all the promises and the things that we want them to do. So,
but what about having a rolling election? So instead of the election of all women being at the same time, maybe every 2 years or 3 years, you rotating out some. I just curious. I mean, like how we've seen some places.
I understand what you're saying, but that's so expensive and time-consuming and so confusing to people. Just leave it as it is. We get people in there. They have a time limit to try to carry out these things. If each of us is going to have some suggestion, and you have a meeting, and then 500 people at a meeting say, "I want this," another person says they want. You see the chaos. You see the confused state.
Maybe we should then have a case where instead of having 19 people elected, maybe we want to have 9 or 6. I don't know, 7 maybe. Why have so many?
They wouldn't be able to carry out what has to be done. It's
possibly,
It's very it's voluminous. There's the amount of things that need to be done.
Yes, sir.
Carried out. We see the stress, and we see the amount of work they're under.
Yes.
So, but the point I'm trying to make is this: we have elected people, so we have to give them the chance to carry out the wishes and the manifesto that they did. We know this is what is coming to. We are, and we must try and understand this, and I've stressed it over and over, and this is the one sort of error that they have committed over the many, many years, is that when we're standing at a political meeting, just remind the people, we are a British crown territory, crown colony, whatever you want to say.
British overseas territory.
We operate within certain parameters for things. There are things set out for us, and many things that we would like our elected representatives, parliamentarians, to do. They simply cannot do it. They can pinch forward each elected term to try to move our country forward. but by amending certain things in the Constitution that would give us more autonomy. But we have to understand that. And I listen to people calling into the radio stations many days, and they don't seem to grasp that fact.
Well, maybe it's for them. Right. I don't wish to disrespect your comments, but we have another caller. Was there something else you wanted to share with us?
Fine, and
okay.
I know that I may get criticized.
No, that's fine, man. I love your opinions, man. You know.
But I remain steadfast to that. There are a lot of other
yes,
things
sir.
I'd say,
yes,
but
sir.
I'm not going to say.
All right.
Anyway, thank you for it.
You're most welcome, sir. Thank you too for sharing with us. Listen, let's get to each caller and give them as much time as they need. Good afternoon, welcome. Thanks for calling. Hello, good afternoon. All right. 1-800-534-8255. Let's connect the red string to the blue string and let's see what we can do with the cup. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon to you, Dwayne.
Happy New Year, Dwayne. How you doing, man?
Happy New Year to you too, my brother. I'm good, you know.
I guess what they say in your part of the world, Feliz Año Nuevo.
Say that again?
I guess what they say in your part of the world, Feliz Año Nuevo.
That's right. Feliz Año Nuevo. That's it.
Yeah.
I think I'm just waking up because I have a few days off and I'm staring at the North Sound. So I just shared with my friends a while ago. I said, you know, there's a little warning that I put up that there's something that seems to be in the North Sound.
Yeah, like what? All right.
10 minutes doing you feel drowsy. So I was wondering, you know, if there was something that was in the breeze or something, you know?
Yeah, man, that is the cool, refreshing, relaxing, you know, nature of the salt air, man. Just
it just sweet, yo. It just sweet.
I know, man. I just love it, man.
Yeah, but I wasn't going to call. I was just going to listen. But Mr. H there, just before me, kind of triggered it. Something that he started with, and I know that he lived in the U.S. and the whole nine, and not that he, you know, believes everything about them, but I know he has a strong understanding. So if it's in a consolation, Mr. Houston, it's in the U.S., they actually do the same thing as well. And I know that do the same thing in terms of pre-registering people prior to their 18th birthday for elections. And I only know that because just last night in listening to the news, there was a segment whereby the whole thing with the Trump in Georgia and the Georgian Secretary of State actually correcting something that the president is pushing out, which is that there were thousands of people that voted that were under 16, and he clarified, no, they didn't vote when they were under 16. They were registered when they were under 16, and no one voted under 16. Everyone that voted because they were going to be 18 at the time of the election. So certainly in America they do it, or certainly in the state of Georgia. I know that different states.
Well, it's important, man, to give people, if they're going to be legally the age of majority, whatever that country has decided is their age. You know what? If you're that age, you should be able to be eligible to get registered whenever.
I agree with you. I completely
just my view.
I completely agree with that, bro. I mean, you would only feel it if when you're 18 and the elections is going on and you realize that which is what prompted us to do it anyway, is that there were men who said, hey, I was 18, but I wasn't allowed to be registered prior to being 18, and now I'm 18 and I can't vote.
Yeah, I mean, to me that's like, you know, somebody saying, look inside that window, all our food going to waste on our table, but nobody said, but the door is right here, you can come in.
You can come in and eat.
Yeah, no man.
Yeah, but why
anyway.
what I did think about calling prior to that triggered me calling, but I was going to leave it. But anyway, since I'm on the line, really what I would love doing is, I don't know if it's on your agenda or not, but you should consider inviting
Go ahead.
Bro. You should consider inviting Dr. Lee to your studio, because the vaccines and the whole talk surrounding vaccines seems to be something that, or if it's not on our minds, it's going to soon come on our minds. And the whole decisions surrounding that are individual and collective decisions surrounding that, because the collective is a serious one, because it's predicated on whether we're opening in March or not, according to the government. So if enough of us are, and so I have to, along with my mother's other son, have to be determining, whether somebody like my mother should be taking it and that sort of thing, because we need to help her make her decision. But in addition to ourselves, but I don't know who it is that's calling me. Speaking of which, she can live long because it's my mother. Because I heard the phone beeping.
You go take that call, Bobo.
No. So what I want to say to you is I particularly had a few questions for Dr. Lee as it relates to the various vaccines doing, and just kind of doing my own research and understanding which is which. And I just heard the news headline that talked about the fact that the BioNTech Pfizer vaccine is coming in today on the BA flight. But I wanted to specifically though ask him about the AstraZeneca vaccine, because that appears to be, in my understanding, slightly manufactured or produced differently. Or made it's produced differently to the other two that were made. The other two are the
messenger RNA,
right, kind of thing. And this AstraZeneca one seems to have been the one that is produced along similar lines that we understand vaccines to have been produced before, which is that they take something, and in this particular case,
a lot of unanswered questions, huh? Yeah,
right, a lot of unanswered questions surrounding it, and specifically, I wanted to, have his views surrounding. I mean, I know he's going to walk a tight line with it, but I certainly wanted to hear his views surrounding his thoughts and whether he thinks that's a better one. And I say better loosely because I can't find another word to describe it, or more safer one. Does he have any thoughts about it for himself? And I wanted to know which one the governor was planning on taking, because, those kind of things are important to understand, in addition to a few other questions relevant to it, but I didn't want to bore you with it. So,
yeah, man. Well,
I don't know if you were thinking about having him on or not, but would you consider it, sir?
Yeah, I know that when I was off, he was on as well, and it's certainly going to be, it's going to be questions asked, and like you said, how much of the answers that will be given from people will be, a good walk of that political diplomatic line. How much would be straight up answers, So,
well, it's going to be important, Dwayne, because like I said, it's the individual decision, but it's also the collective and better understanding it. I mean, don't walk the little, don't. You got to be as honest as you can with us, because the decision has wide, sweeping effects or effects.
Indeed. Well, let's see where it takes us, man.
Back to the north, Sam Breeze, bro.
Listen, man, you call your mama first, all right?
That's right. Thank you, too.
There you go. All right, I'm going to pause it. Let's go to this next caller. Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thanks for calling. Good afternoon. Thank you for calling.
Oh, is it Dean?
Yeah, hey, bro. Good afternoon, man. How you doing?
Yeah, man. Everything's well, right?
Yeah, man. Good to hear from you again today, man.
Yes, sir. I listened in like what my cousin just said about triggered. He said about young people, you know what I mean? When you just check out how much young people it is in right now that is in politics in the whole world. That is under them ages is no one under them ages are near.
Yeah. Well, if we look at it, right, and just, I don't have any empirical evidence in front of me, I don't have any statistical data, but just generally having, by the grace of God, being allowed to live this long, so just watching, the international media, as it were, across the democracies, for instance, the political democracies, how many countries still, and even if you were to look at just the U.S. specifically, can say, well, we still haven't had, and maybe a female president in the case of the U.S., or a person who is of a different ethnicity in these positions. Now, if we're really looking at equality and mature, sort of an advanced society, to have these historical things transpiring in the 21st century in this particular time you really have to ask yourselves, have we really made any great strides in bringing people along? Or is it that we've collectively ensured that this small cluster, whether it's a political sect, whether it's a particular ethnicity or economic grouping, that always seem to be the ones who are sitting around the table making, the decisions, right? It's unfortunate. And then when it comes to the involvement of our young people, why are we continually excluding them?
Because they're afraid that they're going to take, like what he said, they're going to change the way how things going.
Yeah, no, I do respect and recognize.
No, what you were saying about the woman, I believe Germany got a woman president, in Greenland, I believe, Iceland. Sorry.
Yeah, there are a lot of female leaders. I mean, we've seen it even in the Middle East and the like. Perhaps one of the most celebrated and greatly respected, Golda Meir from way back when, right? But look at us here in the Caribbean. Look at us here in Cayman. We talk about so much, and yet it isn't because the person is a woman that the person should be excluded. It isn't because the person is a woman that the person automatically would bring in a great skill set and so on. But if we have structured our systems in such a way that seemingly, whether overtly, deliberately, or otherwise, tend to exclude some people or favor some people, I mean, we have to question, really who we are and what we're doing, man.
Yeah, man, they're afraid of the youngsters and they're afraid of the woman.
Yeah. No.
They're afraid of them.
Yeah. I think that any job, even if let's say you're a qualified lawyer or accountant or some other professional, and you're working for organization A, and now you move into organization B, that you're going to have to undergo a certain level of training and retraining, getting familiar with their systems, their office politics, and all the things that happen there. So it may take you a while to sort of get acclimated to that environment. I agree that politics, perhaps, no matter how old you are and what your level of education experience is, there's a learning curve, right? You could have been a top person in the private sector running the show, and then you come into government, you realize things are a little bit different for different reasons, right? So you learn as you go. I would respect and recognize that if you are 18 or 20 or 30, that you may have a particular disposition, mindset, propensity for risk than if you were 50 or 60. Okay, fair enough. But it doesn't mean that because you're 60 that you're wise and smarter and better than the person who's 30, or because you're 30 that you're, young, strapping, and full of energy, that you're necessarily better than the person who's 60. We got to look at the people and be discerning.
That is correct. When you speak, I mean, I like listening anytime they speak, and you can always sense it that they have the sense that they know it all. And as a youngster, and I can guarantee that they don't know it all. They don't know it all, and I don't know it all. I can guarantee that. There's no way that you not see that all this while they were saying aliens were fake, now they come out and say that the aliens were real. The thing is, right, is to keep us from what they like to say, waking up and reacting. But we don't have to react how they want us to react, because the way they want us to react, that's a death trap.
Yeah, man. I mean, the inspired words of Bob Marley on, emancipate yourself from mental slavery, and none but ourselves can free our minds. We have to become willing to engage in discourse, willing to engage in study, seek knowledge.
How you can follow people that have it that a woman belongs in a kitchen and a boy he needs to stay in school all the time, or a girl, they have to be grown that they're not pretty in the mirror, they have to go and get surgery and all them kind of things. How you follow these people that make money and strive and live off of that, they work to succeed in accomplishing those goals, not accomplishing the goals that say, okay, I can turn on my light today, no power, no money, nothing for that. I can walk out there, nobody can harass me, say anything to me about I'm not supposed to be here and at this time, or You understand? But this place is not paper. Wait, this paper in paradise. You know? This is what they like to say to us. And you come here, you're going to be good. You know what I mean? But what it really is it's paradise on paper.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really true what they talk about coming here and living this fancy or this I don't know, this stress-free life. That's not for us. That's for those ones that read about us.
The thing that we are failing to acknowledge is seemingly this country that is filled with many opportunities seem to have become one where those opportunities no longer accrue to the Caymanians, right? And for some reason, being a Caymanian is a disqualification. We have allowed our very own, let's not point fingers at others, our very own to be the loudest to discredit, each other and our country, till we develop a great sense of respect for self and for each other. As we invite people into our country, I value, and I hope this doesn't, sound improper. If it does, guide me so that, but I value knowing that I can reach out to so many different nationalities and genuinely have a very informed discussion about not only their country, their travels, their education, their experience, but their perspective of what life is like for them in Cayman. Because sometimes you don't see things because you're just oblivious to it. You don't, even aware, and yet they'll share with you. And there is a lot of things that happen in this country that go unreported. We don't discuss, we ignore, we pretend don't exist. And yet if you talk to people, not just Caymanians or the foreign worker who's on a permit being paid, peanuts, but also that practicing professional who say, boy, I just keep my head down and get a paycheck, but boy, you should see what carrying on up in here. And these wonderful people who have shared with me, I hope I'm not betraying their confidence, but I'm enriched as a person, but with, added knowledge of a society that I see a perspective, man, that is amazing. So this is a beautiful, blessed place, man.
Yeah, you ask them how you sleep at night with a clear conscience. Watch what they tell you. You know the answer. The clear conscience don't pay the bills, bro.
Yeah, man. But
that is sickening to know that these people can live off of that.
Yeah, man.
I'm not against nobody how you make a living. I just know say, please don't try to, put it upon me that okay, this is how you live.
Yeah, man.
This is how I supposed to live too. You see,
yeah,
I don't agree with that. And if you're gonna take advantage of me, right?
What's good for the goose is good for the gander, right?
Yeah, make sure when you take advantage of me, right? Make sure you know and you understand, like you taking advantage of me. Don't come out there and be like, oh well, I sorry. All this while you really, come be truthful to me, man, because you know what? That give me more time to react.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Honestly, man, it's something that I think is just lacking. My friend, as we go to the break, any quick final thoughts you want to share?
No, sir. I will try to call probably, you know what I mean? But I'm busy right now.
No, man. Thank you for your time, and to the other callers, if you are so gracious and you have the...
Thank you for all the callers, the callers that call in. They have to keep calling, man. Keep calling, telling them. Thank you very much.
True that. All right, let's pause quickly, and when we come back, we'll join the other callers. Please, stay tuned.
UCCI students, have you registered for classes in the spring 2021 semester? Class registration takes place until January 8th. Classes start January 11th. Spring into action. Visit ucci.edu.ky/myucci. Call 623-8224 or email admissions@ucci.edu.ky for more information.
The Cayman Islands government would like to remind the public that e-services are available for vehicle license renewal, trade and business licensing, police clearance, and other transactions. Skip the line and apply online. E-services are user-friendly, efficient, and most important, you can apply and pay from the comfort of your home. Visit eservices.gov.ky.
The Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. We're here for you. We are a not-for-profit, member-centric plan with a democratically elected volunteer board of trustees representing all sectors of the Cayman Islands economy. We have an all-in expense ratio of less than 1%, over 20,000 members, and $490 million in assets under management. We were the first multi-employer pension plan approved by the regulator in the late 1990s, and today we are still strong, secure, and are here for our employees and employers alike. If you would like to join or require further information, visit chamberpension.ky. And for information as it happens, follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram. Email admin@pensions.ky or call 745-7630. The Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. We're here for you.
Talk today.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Afternoon, welcome back. Thank you for calling. It is open line here on Talk Today, and we appreciate those callers who've called and certainly their patience for staying online as we go straight to the phones. Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thank you for calling.
Good afternoon.
Hey, Mr. Ambassador. Good afternoon, man. How are you?
I'm all right. Happy New Year to you and to your family.
And to you, man. A blessed, happy, prosperous, healthy, safe New Year as well.
Dwayne, you have to be patient with me today.
Okay, man.
Because I have different issues I want to put out. Number one, this issue of the vaccine. Short story, this vaccine, Pfizer or whatever they call it, I think we need to be careful to take that vaccine because 240 people take the vaccine in Middle East. They all get coronavirus. They all, after they vaccinated, they get the coronavirus. So we need to be careful what we are taking. It's not trusted. It's not tested properly. And I think I am against bringing this Pfizer vaccine from United States because I don't trust this company. I don't trust who behind this company. I don't have no trust in Pfizer vaccine. I have trust in the German company, the two Turkish scientists that implement the vaccine. They test it, and it show all the time, even in the new type of coronavirus, this German vaccine is working very good. But this Pfizer vaccine, there is a lot of signs that it's not working and is not good to be taken. That's the first issue. The second issue is we are coming soon, to maybe come out of this pandemic, hopefully. They say in March they're going to open the border. But I'm asking how the border is closed. And today, I see one Indian, he just come from India in a visiting visa, asking for a job, looking for a job. How we not providing jobs for locals, but we are allowing somebody from India to come to Cayman in a visit visa and search for a job. In this pandemic, imagine, in this pandemic, we allowing still people to come so they can look at job. But we're not helping the people who are struggling here. We have 10,000 people in welfare. We have 10,000 people are hungry and in bad situation. And we still bring in people from outside to get the jobs, little jobs we have in Cayman. And this work department or whatever the new department, it's showing they are failing. They are failing. They bring in the same lazy people from immigration and they put them in this work force department, and they are doing the same nonsense stuff, and they are allowing people to come to search for a job. How that could be working right? And then we are close to election, and we want to ask this question: what people like David White did in 4 years, what he achieved to the people of this country, what Austin Harris achieved to the people of this country in 4 years. We don't even hear his voice. We don't see anything in Prospect change. We don't see in Wednesday Park people's life change under David White. We don't see under Barbara Connolly anything change in the area she are representing. We want to see people to elect people who can work, can achieve and do something, Dwayne. We don't want to see people like Isaac Miller sitting 12 years or 14 years MLA for Northside and nothing being done in Northside. Nothing.
You know, as I listen to you, I mean, it is where the health and strength of a democracy lies, where people can, weigh in with their thoughts. And we will be going to, as you shared, a general election in short order. So maybe it'll be a time for, not just reflection, but also pensive consideration for what the future will hold. The financial implications of, our actions and our inactions. Any quick final thoughts, or that's it?
Yeah, just I want to, say this. We have issues and problems inside. We don't need to bring people from outside to be employed in Cayman while we have a lot of people unemployed. The second thing, we so early, we don't want to open the border so quick. This coronavirus have a new type of coronavirus which is more danger than the one before.
Right.
Why we are rushing to open the border, and this pandemic never finish?
Well, there was someone who would say that our border's not really closed; it's just restricting how we enter, because some weeks we've had, almost 2,000 people on the house arrest. Interesting, man. But thank you for those thoughts, and with great respect and appreciation for those who are online who are holding. Let's go to the phones. Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thank you for calling.
Hello.
Hey, good afternoon again. How are you, Mom?
I do not plan these things.
We orchestrate it for you.
Okay. That's called producing.
Yep. Yes, Mom.
I don't know why you don't shut your mouth. You were doing pretty good when you were talking about borders, when you were talking about WORC. I could even though I can't stand you, I could do a little hand clapping for you.
But make people know you were talking about me or who?
Yeah, who the shoe fit wearing. and I can leave that alone.
I hear you.
Look, I am a great proponent of commandants learning on the job.
Yep.
Talk about David White, talk about Babs Connolly, you talk about Austin Harris, I know them all. And if you're not doing it quite right, remember the first time round. Leave them alone. They're learning. I am a great proponent for that. We can stick them there because that's a job for them. They're Caymanians. So we can leave that alone. And when you go in up and north side, don't touch that. That's like secret. Leave it alone. Mind your business. Don't you come here and what people say, go fast, stay long. But now you, sir, I hear you with one conversation just now, and I'm paraphrasing, and you use the words across the democracies. And then you get on just after that in the same sentence to mention the United States. Now, come on now, which one it was? You off the track. I mean, I think you need to look at that scenario. Democracy, America. Even though I don't understand democracy because I can't stand her and I don't like her, I don't even look at her. I know it not like that. Across the democracies, you gotta leave that one out.
Okay, all right.
Okay, thank you. Bye. And leave David, Abs, and Austin alone. Leave them alone. They came on and they're learning on the job.
All right.
You're not talking to nobody here. As long as they're not doing that in pen and paper, they can handle it. They're learning.
Yeah, man.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you. Let's go to the next line. Good afternoon. Thank you for calling.
Good afternoon.
Welcome. How are you today?
Oh, fine. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you as well.
Good. I need to have a kind of break now, but Sterling, I got to hit this man under the belt with hurt. This George Union. And he is talking about the vaccine. He knows nothing about no vaccine for one thing. He don't know which one works and which one doesn't work. He knows scientist or whatever the case may be. Another thing, he said the assessment got over 10,000 people. I want to know if he's one of that 10,000 because he have a job. And if he do have a job, he need to give it to one of the Caymanians that he's so concerned of. Another thing, Sterling, when I see how this man can get on the radio and talk about our MLAs is for the Caymanians to talk about. And if he considers himself as a Caymanian, well, more power to him, but let us fight our government. I am quite sure he's not a voter for this island, and who he is concerned for this island, I don't know. No disrespect to him. I don't hate that man. But that man comes across with some garbage sometimes. And whenever he sits down by that coffee shop and get that cigar and coffee and ring up all these things to call the station in regards to that, his prerogative. But the fact of the matter is, he must remember he's in another man's country, and he cannot come here and criticize our government. That is for us to do. No paper Caymanian is even allowed to criticize our government. We are the voters of this island. We are the ones to complain. That is my look and belief on that. So I just want to say, he's talking about this vaccine. This vaccine is supposed to be coming to Cayman. Isn't that coming from England? Where America came from in this? Is it that England is coming from? Sterling?
Yeah.
Okay, another question. Sterling is the flight, when the flight comes from England this week, are they bringing passengers on that flight with them?
I think the flight arrives today with passengers as well, yes.
And there's another disease outbreak out there in England and so forth and so forth. Just a couple of days ago, we had like 8 or 9 positive people. We're not getting no heads up from the government. We're not having no brief meeting. No, nothing to tell us what's going on and what to expect and what not to expect.
Right. But I mean, we see, from what I gather, is the BVI just imposed a ban on travellers from the UK. The British Prime Minister was out yesterday announcing some stricter measures in terms of schools going online and the like. The question, and our government sort of answered it earlier that they believe because of the relationship with us in the UK that we'll remain, accepting of flights and the like. Do we? Yes. Go ahead.
We are a crown colony or whatever colony of England, and because we have the BA coming to the Cayman Islands, and this thing is raging in England, we still have the right to bring in people here, and hopefully they don't test positive, but they do test positive, some of them. So when are our government going to sit down and say, you know what, enough is enough right now? We need to take a little pause, because if we try to open up in March, which I think is not a really great idea, but the government has to decide that and take it from there when this vaccine arrives on this island, and depending on who takes it and so forth and so forth. But the fuck off, why are they bringing people here still to a degree knowing that there's another virus on top of this coronavirus out there? I mean, right. And when
let's make a couple of what ifs, right? So let's say we've opened up in March, and we know we have an election coming up in May. So within that 2-month window, 6 weeks, whatever the time is, because of the government's decision for public health reasons, we say we need to implement a number of restrictions in terms of gatherings. So candidates can't go and canvass, political and public meetings can't be had. So the sense of democracy is an exercise that we have become accustomed to date. As a result, you have an election with restrictions. Maybe people don't show up to the polls. Maybe there is increased use of ballots. And as a result, then you have allegations before, during, and after of potential voter fraud. So what if those things are being orchestrated now as a strategy to bring about a particular outcome? Just what if, right? Have we thought of that? I mean, would it be better, as some have said, to open and get it on with and just, let the chips fall? Would it be better to wait until June or to later on after elections so we don't add any other potential variable into the mix that could undermine the perception, of a free and fair election?
Sterling, if we got to wait for the chips to fall to see what's going to happen here with this coronavirus, I say no, Jose. We are going up a death creek, and we got to be very careful. We can't keep the borders closed forever. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
And all this money the government is so gathering to take care of this island, Sterling, I am worried to the fact of the matter how that money going to be paid back, and who's going to fall on, and where Cayman going to end up at the end of that money being owed up and given to us and many more people for this island. That's what to worry about.
Yeah. But as I listen to you, right, again, we need to get to a point where we stop being afraid of our shadows and we find a way. And I'm going to try to make sure that I learn as well that even when we say something that may not be as kind and as nice, that is not said with any animosity, any vitriol. It's not meant to inflame, offend, or otherwise malign, right? It's not within my nature. But let's say, again, speaking to the political dynamic, as you shared, the government of the day, we've had, 19 people elected, and a number of them were champions for the port, which were probably a great thing because they have great support from many others. Maybe that port should have gone ahead and it would have been good. What if it hadn't gone ahead? Would that have helped us now or hurt us? Likewise, the management of the country now, as you shared, with the financial implications of, the hundreds of millions of dollars that we're going to be spending, what would that mean for, the next government and the one following that, and the future generations of Caymanians in terms of the increased debt that we might have to repay? Are we asking those questions, or have we given all of the politicians a fairly free pass because of what is happening now?
Darling, I would love to answer that in some other ways, but I'm going to boil it down to this. I want to say what Trump says. I say what Trump says. When he got America in his hands, he got a mess, which I don't really fully believe it's fully true that he did got a handful of mess. But I got to tell you one thing, it sounds like the new government may have some new people, and they're going to have a handful of mess and wants to know where the money going to come from to pay back these people that we're getting this money from, whoever it may be. I don't know who they are, but the fact is we're going to increase this and we're going to increase that. Our wage is not going nowhere, and we can't even go to the grocery store and shop comfortable. We can't even go to the hardware store and shop comfortable and buy the necessary things that we do need. What is the new government? I know half of these government people in there are going to be.
Well, I hear you, man. I hear you. And let's keep asking the hard questions, but also start seek some solutions and be willing to stand up for a matter of principle and an informed perspective. Hey, thank you very much for that, Mom.
Okay, bye.
All right, blessings. All right, let's pause and take a short break. And when we come back, more Talk Today.
Do you have a passion for cake decorating or doing vegetable carvings?
Register now to UCCI's Continuing Education Food Courses. In 10 weeks, students will learn how to bake and acquire various techniques in icing decoration or to turn fruits and vegetables into beautiful garnishes and bouquets. Classes start on January 18th.
Register now on our website at connect.ucci.edu.ky/register/short courses.
Or visit us from January 6th to the 12th for face-to-face registration. Dream a little dream with this year's holiday sale at Powerhouse Gym, King Sports Center. Get Fit 2021 sale from December 15th to January 15th. 2-for-1 Powerhouse Gym memberships for $650 or single memberships for $350. The perfect Christmas gift or New Year's resolution. Gift certificates are available. Call 946-5464 or visit www.kingsportscenter.com. King Sports Center, providing your fitness, recreation, and relaxation needs. Remember, fit is not a destination, it is a way of life.
Attention, Caymanians! The registration deadline for the 2021 elections has been extended until 20 January 2021. Caymanians turning 18 on or before the May 26 elections may register now. In order to vote in the 2021 elections, you must register by the 20th of January. For more information, visit elections.ky or the elections office at Baytown Office Suites opposite the Wharf Restaurant.
Talk today.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thanks for calling. Really appreciate your contribution here on Talk Today. Let's go to the phones. Hey, good afternoon and welcome.
Good afternoon.
Hey, welcome back, man. Good afternoon.
Yeah, Dwayne, I just, usually me from the type of people I don't respond, to nonsense talk. When people talk nonsense, not intelligent, they're not educated enough to respond to me, so I don't really usually respond to them. But, it is comeback election time. Those callers, they want to fight me. They get $50 from here and $25 from here to call and criticize me for saying the truth. I don't really care too much about those. But, it is like an insect or a mosquito passing next to you. It's not affecting you. But anyway, I just want to ask those, they defending those MLAs, the one I mentioned their name, to tell me one single achievement to Austin Harris, David White, Barbara Connolly, and Izzard Miller. Tell me one achievement for those four, and I'm going to speak about others soon. But I am starting today with those four. I want to see one achievement. She's saying they are learning from the taxpayers' money. They are getting salary to do their job, but they are not doing a good job. And that is why you come in the radio to defend people are not doing their job in this country. You telling me I'm foreigner or I am not from here. But why you, if you Caymanian really and you care about this country, why you don't call and criticize those lazy MLAs? They are not doing their job. Why?
Maybe that's the sign of a democracy where we can agree and disagree. Maybe we get heated. But do we truly enjoy that sense of freedom of expression? Appreciate that comment. Let's go to another caller. Good afternoon and welcome. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon, Dwayne.
Good afternoon.
Sorry to call you back, but I have a good question. I can be the devil's advocate now because it's bothering me and I need to get it off my chest.
Go right ahead.
I don't know if did you see the ad from I think it's Fox News, the U.S. Fox News regarding Skylar Mack, the girl that was arrested for breaching her quarantine. There was an ad from, I don't know if I can say, I'll send it to you when I finish.
Yes, please.
Where, I don't know, I didn't catch his first name, Jess or something. I don't know whether he's one of the mayors or one of the U.S. mayors or what he's at. But I know he's making he's a commentator. He's making, but didn't he know, he doesn't act like a commentator because he made the comment that I want to find out where is our government that's supposed to be defending the Cayman Islands. Because as far as I'm concerned, when you hear that, I send that to you, you can play it back to here. You can actually play it back so that people can hear it over the air for themselves. Mm-hmm. He is actually, as far as I'm concerned, that's a threat. Because he said that if Cayman Islands government can do two things, they can be the hard way or we can go the easy way. And he said, his first comment was that Americans does not like other people punishing their people. If their people do wrong, send them home to them and let them, like, make them decide what punishment they're going to get. He went on to say that if the Cayman Islands, he said the Cayman Islands only has 2 industries, banking and finance. And if the Cayman Islands, like, don't give up this girl, like, take her out of jail, because she should not be in jail, because she's so pretty. She's a biologist.
Premier student and so on, right? Mm-hmm.
And she's this thing and she's next thing. She should not be in jail. Like, we don't have the right to put her in jail, because not just because she broke our rules. So, as far as I'm concerned, our rules in Cayman should stand as strong as anywhere else in their country. If I go to the next man's country, I'm supposed to be obliged to abide by their rules. And if I break rules, then I should have to pay penalties. Especially knowing that she is she's a medical student. Knowing that if they say the COVID is so rapid and the dangers of COVID, for her to come and break it, it is very bad. But I want to know, where is the government that's supposed to be defending? Because he said that if the Cayman Islands do not release her, he will do his indulgence. He says they get a full paid package to come to the Cayman. He will do with the Cayman Islands what he did with the Dominican Republic when the murders, like Americans were getting murdered over there. He will crumble this economy. He will crumble the Cayman Islands. So where is our government? And actually, I sent it to Mr. Alden myself. So Alden has it, Dwayne Seymour has it, Eugene has it. So a lot of them have it. I sent it to as many people as I could send it, because I think that they have an obligation to us.
But this is
to protect us.
As I listen to you, right, and we've seen a lot of times comments in international media. Sometimes you have to wonder, in particular, when we would see it in relation to our financial services industry. We would wonder if our government has orchestrated machinery in order to ensure that we respond, very proactively, very positively, but very, very deliberately. Now, in recent years, I think we have put in place, either through Cayman Finance and other initiatives. But I wonder, when we're now going to set up a military, instead of arming people with guns, why don't we arm minds with diplomacy and diplomatic skills to be able to have this? No, we're not an independent nation.
You're 100% right. When is we getting to there? Because as far as I'm concerned, and that's my opinion, I mean, I'm entitled to manage the rest, but what he said was a serious threat. Because, we have a small economy. Yes, we only have two things, and I know that's why the world knows that's all we got, and they will do. But for him to say that, we must release her, we don't have the right to lock her up.
Right. But like him, right? Like him and many others, but like their former president who made, that comment about the building in town that must be the biggest building in the world because it had so many, tens of thousands of companies. There's a level of arrogance and ignorance and a great demonstration of insolence towards our people that they just say things because it makes the political cycle. But again, where are we, even though we're a dependency, armed with the diplomacy to set about to ensure that we are respecting our international obligations, we are able to, look after the protection and provision of our people, and to ensure that we, properly and certainly in an appropriate manner, sanction those, including the foreign nationals, who infringe our laws. Now, there is a way to do that by sending the message without necessarily having to punish all and sunder alike. But it is a time when this country has to mature, and I think a great sense of and demonstration of diplomacy as opposed to military might, might be a better course to chart. All right. Thank you, Mom. Thank you. And Susan's the boss, so never forget that, people. Not just because she's a bracker, but, that comes into play too. Thank you for your thoughts, Mom. Let's pause and go to our news break. And who's going to be the next caller after the news? I want to know. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
It's only 2 species that we have here on Island.
Your voice, your choice.
It is in the
best interests of the people of these islands.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. The Cayman Islands Postal Service showcases its latest stamp issue celebration, the Queen Elizabeth II Botanic Park. The Postal Service says the new Botanic Park stamp issue is also unique in that it is a 12-stamp definitive issue, commemorating the beautiful scenery, wildlife, and historic buildings seen at the park. In international news, in England, people must now stay at home except for a handful of permitted reasons, and schools have been closed to most pupils. It came after UK chief medical officers recommended that COVID threat level be increased to 5, its highest level. The leader of the far-right Proud Boys group has been arrested in Washington, D.C. on suspicion of burning a Black Lives Matter flag last month. He has reportedly admitted torching a banner taken from a black church during a rally in December in the city. A newly elected congresswoman has pledged to carry a Glock handgun during her term in Washington, D.C. In a video released on Sunday, Republican Lauren Boebert is shown loading a handgun before walking around the city. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
Your voice, your choice, your radio.
Talk today.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thank you for sharing with us this afternoon. Let's go straight to the phones. Good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Hello, Sterling. Good afternoon.
Hey, Rambo. Good afternoon, man. What's up, man?
Yeah. Right here, John Campaign, man.
Yeah,
so,
man.
Like I said, again, to this point, right? Just want to limit receding, right? With the herb topic. So all the citizens right, around the islands, it may be annoying, right? But it diametrically and logically. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Natural. Right? Say, for instance, Sterling, last year, they enact the law, right? With the same-sex union. Right? You know the Proverbs, right? Bird together, flock together. They know them, you know, that's their lifestyle. Don't offend no one. Right? A heterosexual. See?
Mm-hmm.
Why we look, husband me or the conundrum, right? Like a maze, see?
Mm-hmm.
Why they can't bend the law? You know, but they can't bend the law. You know, I know, okay, man, like, you know, politics, based on state and church, right? But Sterling, by the minute, and by the hour, and by the day, right? And if you keep on inclining, it's all about political literacy around the world now.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Came on with the time forgotten, then days gone, those nostalgia days gone, donkey days gone, bro. You come from?
Mm-hmm.
So like I said again earlier, Sterling, like I said earlier on, right? It may be annoying when I talk about this sharp thing, but the world benefit from it. Like, how much go Israel? Look at Israel. You understand? And I know okay, man, coming to, and I know like 1/3 is there March, right? The border open up, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, you got to take heed. You know.
Yeah, man.
Taking the placement is on it. You understand? You can't be complacent, but draw the line.
I hear you.
Still come from?
Right,
so,
right.
You know UK shut now, no? It's a February. Right? A lot of restrictions.
Yeah, I thought it was March sometime, but anyway, yeah.
So it's February. Right?
Okay.
Who cares? Right? But we came on, we blessed. Still come from?
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, yes, they were telling you. But these candidates running for the general election coming up. Either Cater or Cairo, how much CVs or resumes you have?
Mm-hmm.
You understand? You understand? Because people understand, but I overstand now.
Like how you put that.
Yeah, you look up in the dictionary.
Yep.
You can't find overstand.
Yep.
All right, so have a good day, Sterling.
Thank you. You too, man. You too.
Cool.
Cool. Let's try another line. Hey, welcome. Thanks for sharing with us as well. Good afternoon. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, Dwayne Starling, Dwayne.
Well, Mr. Ezra says, hello, number 2. How are you, sir?
Look, don't you bring that because Ezra the biggest number 2 you can find from 1 to 10. And I hope he never get premier.
Oi.
I ain't afraid to say it. I hope you're listening to it.
I open that door, boy. Okay.
Yeah, you can open that door, walk out, I'll come right in on your mic and say it.
There you go. You said it. There you go.
This is no cover. What are you talking to you?
No, sir.
Look here, I just called you for 2 things.
Mm-hmm.
First, I want to agree with that person calling a while ago and tell you about what American is saying about Cayman.
Mm-hmm.
With arresting this person with disease.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it was your show or it was Rooster before we went off that I called.
Mm-hmm.
I bet you if a Caymanian had put foot up there with that, they'd have had a probably lock up for 10 years.
Possibly, yeah. I mean,
We cannot go up there and break the American rule or the law, but they can come here and do as they like. Anyone? No, it don't go so. If the law is you don't come out, you stay there for the 14 days, you stay. If they give you 2 days and say get back on the flight, we can carry you straight to the plane you go.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise from that, just do what is supposed to be done, because this is the Cayman Islands. This is not mad Trump land. Because he's going off of his rockers right now. I ain't afraid to say it. They're going to soon have to put him in asylum. And I hope the people out there that are talking about all this not going to follow him. Because I tell you, when it comes to Cayman Island, depending on everything what Americans say and Americans do, man, look here, I would just tell them, look, if you can't do this, keep it yourself to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way I feel about it.
Yes, sir.
And look, I always give it Moses Corral hell on the radio, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I still say he should be the next premier.
Now, did that those lines get painted in the road as yet? I mean, you talked about it yesterday.
He now had chance to get in the house yet. Give time.
No, I mean, okay.
Don't worry, he heard it on the radio.
Okay, well, you got one more day. I'm hoping that I'll tell you by tomorrow you have it done, so.
Yeah, you just trying to make joke out like you were trying to talk a while ago, but I wonder who'd be next call in line. Yeah, you think that I didn't know that you know me?
Honestly, I can respectfully tell you, no, I didn't, The extent of the power I got in the studio is to talk, and whether you hear me or I hear you, that lies in the hands of the powers of Susan.
Aye, that's the girl of the day, boy.
Yeah, man.
And I don't worry, tell you for the New York, I told you enough for the whole year. You must have learned by now. Otherwise, the stop master going to be coming around.
Uh-oh.
Okay?
Okay, sir.
Just make sure your work is done properly, not to trouble no one.
Yeah, man. I will work as hard as I can, as best as I can, and for as long as I can to do, the very best of all. So.
Well, make your best be better than your best.
Yeah, there you go.
Just don't trouble so that.
All right.
And McLaughlin, anyone, the Cayman Islands don't have to bend down to no Caymanian. To no American, if they come in the wrong, they don't bend down to us. If it's a law, carry it out. Don't care which one enough. From the chief of police right down, anyone, immigration, do what I got to do. Tell them, look, this is the law of the Cayman Islands. You can't be it. Go back on the flight.
Let's see. Yes, sir.
You didn't say it. This ugly man said it. And when you talk about Ezra number 2, I hope you stay at number 10. Bye.
There you go, sir. There you go. 949-8037 or toll free at 1-800-534-8255. We got time for more calls, and we'll see who asks the hard questions. Let's see who make the pointed statements. Hey, Susan, we have a call in the queue. Well, we might even have time to sample some good chocolate. Listen, it's never too late, At the end of the day with chocolate, it's a better day. 1-800-534-8255. It's a toll-free call. If you get a little Latin flavor and spice it up, even better. I've been sampling the sailing the seas. Anyway, right, Susan? What are we saying? Let's do it, Bobo. Let's do it. 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. Listen, there is no question that we live in a beautiful place. What is questionable is to what extent are we working together to make it better? We don't want only preserve the civility, the sanctity, the safety, the security, and the success of our people, but let's make it better. the sacrifices of our parents, grandparents, whether they lived here for generations, whether they recently come from another shore. But what about the future generation, and what is that Cayman is going to look like? Not only the demographic in terms of the mixing and the meddling of the different people from across the divides, but what is the ethos of the country? Yes, some of us will hear things and we say, well, that's just naive, not noble. We'll hear things and say, well, that's idealistic, not realistic. But wouldn't you want better? I mean, you got two choices, right? You can go in a boat with the worst of the crew and captain, boat full of holes, and you probably won't make it far offshore. Or you can go into a boat with seasoned and experienced, seafarers. A boat that has sailed as fast as the gold field and, as comfortable as the best of them. Which boat would you choose? Now, if you didn't know the difference, would you just flip a coin and 50-50? Or if you could, would you not take the opportunity to become informed and to find out, I got a choice, right? And you always have a choice, take it or leave it. But you got a choice of boat A or boat B, and you didn't know which one was the better choice. Would you not make a concerted effort to find out? Sometimes you'll be misinformed and misled just because of maliciousness. Other times, just because we are a little bit apathetic and unwilling to spend a little time to research and to get educated and informed, well, that may be the reason why some have greater success than others. But this is the time to become informed, because you've got to get engaged and involved. And like the other callers, I think sometimes we look at our politicians and they're easy pickings, partly because they make it easy for us because of the things they say and do and don't do, but they don't have superhuman strength nor superhuman intelligence nor the thickest of skins. Perhaps it's only one of us times 100 that is beaten up on them, so they feel it 100 times over. It's only one of them. But if they're offering, or could I just say collectively, if we are offering ourselves as political leaders or as leaders in our civic organizations or service clubs or sports clubs or churches or schools, then should we not be also offering up a willingness to act with a greater sense of integrity, honesty, an initiative and an ethic and an ethos to say, listen, we want to raise the bar, or at the very least, we want to meet the standard that's there, and if possible, raise the bar. Now, it doesn't mean that we're going to know everything all the time or everything that is right then and there, but we got to be willing to listen and to try to learn. We also got to be willing to stand in conviction and say, listen, I know it's politically expedient, I know it's popular to do this or not to do this, but the right thing to do is this. And when the right thing is done, will we be supported by the people who, although they would not get the windfall that they were hoping if the right thing wasn't done, will they not only stand silently and privately, commending you for it, will they stand publicly and proudly draw alongside you and say, listen, you did the right thing. Okay, you're probably not going to win a seat. You're probably not going to be popular. Boy, you can take some licks for it, but you did the right thing. And not only because future generations are going to benefit, but the then and the now will also benefit. Is that naive, or is that the noble, honorable thing to do? And as we look in the mirror, let's say we're elected now. Let's say we're appointed to certain positions. And we look in the mirror and we, to our own selves, to thine own self be true. In that, deepest, darkest, sort of most, private of places, we have to admit to ourselves that, we have fallen short of the mark. What do we do? Do we step aside and let someone else have a chance? Or do we step up and say, you know what? This is just wrong, man. Got to do better. Hey, what are we going to do? Well, let's pause now. Think about it. Give me a shout back. And let's see where we're going to move our country forward in a better way come 2021. Sometimes we got to move. What was that thing we always pray? God move or move me. Wow, powerful prayer, baby. Let's go to the phones after the break. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Maintaining a strong mind and body through sports and general healthy living is a good course of action.
Radio Command Sports Update, brought to you by Evangelist Joseph Ebanks.
Have you heard the call?
Inviting you to Have You Heard the Call? Weekly worship every Wednesday and Thursday. Listen to the biggest sports stories in Cayman, around the region, and around the world. Inside the 7 a.m. hour on Radio Cayman. Brought to you by Evangelist Joseph Ebanks. Have you heard the call?
Covering the Cayman Islands with the Word of God, one community at a time.
Weekdays on Radio Cayman.
The road to becoming a British Overseas Territories citizen just became a lot smoother. You can now apply online at online.odg.gov.ky. If you or someone you know needs to be naturalized or registered as a British Overseas Territories citizen, or if you are a citizen and need to replace your lost or damaged certificate, complete the process at online.odg.gov.ky.
Now you can listen to Radio Cayman everywhere.
Everywhere.
Can you hear me now? Everywhere. Everywhere.
Yes, right from your Android or iPhone. Download the Radio Cayman app now on your Android or iOS phone.
The Radio Cayman app
is where you can listen to Radio Cayman everywhere you go.
Everywhere we go, we go. Everywhere we go, we go.
Find it in the Google Store, the Apple Store, or use the link at www.radiocayman.gov.ky.
Yes, now you can listen to Radio Cayman everywhere.
Talk today.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thank you for sharing with us. Certainly appreciate what I think is a distinct privilege and honor to be a part of this discussion as we invite you to share your thoughts with us. 949-837 or 1-800-534-8255. Now, some of you have been sharing with us, and I was just waiting to see whether there will be any takers. I know that in sort of that social media realm, there's much discussion being had about the Legislative Assembly Management Law 2020, which allegedly, now I haven't read it through on a big screen, I've only scanned it on a small, cracked screen, so I don't know, but allegedly under that proposed or that piece of legislation, that the elected members now who are sitting in the Parliament, as we call it now, if they don't stand for re-election or is not re-elected in the upcoming elections, that person is going to get 3 months salary. Some of you have said, hey, that's how it should be, 3 months severance. Some of you say, well, wait a minute, that's unprecedented for us. I've asked a couple of people to say, do you know if that is what it's like in other parliaments across the globe? I haven't looked it up either, but we know it hasn't been the case here. Now, what do you think of it? A person who does not stand for re-election, is not re-elected, they're going to get 3 months pay following the general elections come May. You may have a view on it. But you don't wish to share it publicly. You may have a view, you just can't wait. You're chomping at the bits to say so. Well, take the opportunity. Today is Tuesday, Mr. Art. When is the record back on next week, Miss Susan? Wow. So you're going to have to wait a whole week. So you better take your time and call me now or tomorrow. But when he's back, you go right ahead and engage him because, that's a very politically involved and informed show Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays here on Radio Cayman, moderated by a very astute, educated, and experienced individual whose experience alone through his service, whether through immigration or finally as cabinet secretary, understands, I think, diplomacy and governance and the like. And you don't have to agree with what people say, you just need to know that it's a free society with a healthy democracy that you can disagree. And that is the strength, I think, of our people. But we can't be disagreeing just to be disagreeable. Let's go to the phones, huh? Good afternoon and welcome. Thanks for calling.
Dear Sterling, do you look like when I call you, you call stuff?
But then I had to get used to not call it. That's good.
That's what I was saying a while ago. I'm going to have to cut down on calling you, sure?
No, man. No. You just make sure you call anytime and every time and as often as you want, man.
No, well, I know this whenever I call you, so you call me. All you call is stuff.
Yeah, because people realize that you say it all, man, and see that boy, he got a bases covered.
Stop pretending. You're worse than a schoolmaster.
Yeah, lying is something I'm not good at, you know. Lying and drinking. Maybe I won't be a good politician. Oh, sorry.
When you say you want to be a politician that's lying and drinking? Oh, well, that's a natural thing.
No, man. We should behave here. My mama hear me. She'll school me tonight about that. All right.
No, man, come and get this.
I hope so, sir. Honestly, I hope so.
I just got called in because you never had no calls. I said, never call it in, rub it in there.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, well,
but listen, can I ask you, right, if it's okay, and you can respond if you wish.
You can ask me anything.
Yes, sir. And thank you for that. You've always said that, and for what it's worth, I've always believed that you set a great example in sharing your view. Sometimes it isn't easy, I think, for other people to say what you say so freely, but I believe you encourage them to have, the strength to share. So I just mentioned just now that a lot of people have weighed in, to me personally, right, about this seemingly, I don't know if it's even in effect yet. I think it is. Come after the next election.
Hey, come back with that name again.
Yeah, after the next election, presumably the politicians, whether they're not elected or whether they don't choose to seek an election, they're gonna get 3 months' pay. What do you think of that? Is that a good thing? I mean, 3 months severance.
Are you talking about those that are in or new ones?
Okay, no. So those that are in, if they decide that they're not going to stand for re-election for whatever reason, right? Or they stand for re-election but they're not successful, so someone else gets the seat. Those people will then get 3 months pay or get paid for 3 months following the election. What do you think about that? Good thing?
Will they be getting their pension?
I guess if they've been eligible for it, I think you have to serve a certain amount of time. I'm not even up to speed with how that works these days, but yeah, someone would probably still get a pension too, yeah?
Well, I say if you're not going to get the pension, give it to you so you can have something left with you.
Okay.
Let's say that it was this month and your last payday gone, okay?
Yeah.
Or it was December and that's it. The house closed down this month, you finish?
Yeah, man.
That's it. Give it to you. But if you're going to be getting your pension, I say keep it in the bank and help other people.
Yeah. But remember now, there was some disquiet way back when some of the politicians who, because of their age and their service, were, getting their salaries for being elected, but also were able to draw on their pensions. And there were some people who talk about double dipping. But if you have sort of earned it, is that unfair or improper?
No, sir. If it is there for you, that you earn it, even if you come out next week, it's there for you.
Yeah.
And you want it this week, say okay. Go
it's your choice, huh?
For it.
Yep.
Go. Okay.
It. I hear you, man. I hear you.
That's how I feel about it, sir. What I said, if you're going to have a retirement pay after you leave the assembly, they don't need to get no extra pay. If they're not going to have that, be honest and give them the 3 months pay.
Okay.
That is my feeling. Sorry if I offend you or anybody.
No, man. I appreciate. This is why I tell you. I believe. Well, no. Let me say it specifically. I know from a handful of callers who say they draw courage and strength from the fact that you call freely and give your opinion. If he doesn't mind, even Mr. Maker as well. People like that cause other people to feel, if they can say it, why am I afraid to say it? Mario Rankin, for instance, will come in and I get licks for having him as a guest. I also get accolades from people saying, boy, good that you have him on. We need to know that if we live in a democracy, what if we lived in a place where you couldn't say what you want to say? You got to go meet in silent to have church. You got to meet in silent to criticize the government or complain about a business.
That's where you turn communist.
Well, I would even say worse, but anyway.
Well, I don't know what worse you're going to find in that. Besides English.
Oui. I hear you, Bobo. I hear you.
I don't want you to get fired, you're a guy.
Thank you, sir.
Have a good day, and like I told you, don't trouble Susan. Bye.
Yeah, man. Hey, listen, thank you very much, sir. And we have a great team here. I say this, and it's probably because I listened and have listened to Radio Cayman almost exclusively, and probably for the last couple of years, I would say, more so than ever. I feel connected to this studio. I feel honored to be a part of, the Radio Cayman legacy and the family. Doesn't mean everybody get along. Don't mean that everybody sings in the same hymnal and what have you. But if you listen to our programming, you listen to our on-air talent. We have some very, very exceptional people. And if you know some of their stories and their education, and see the dedication, wow, man, that'll inspire and encourage you. Wow. So to be a part of that, it's amazing. As Mr. Dolan just shared, whether it's a Saturday afternoon country classics, whether it's the early morning, praise time, it gets us going and reminds us of who we are. Likewise, you may see the more sort of contemporary, modern approach of some of the programming from the likes to, Joel and the like. Well, we got it, man. It's interesting. Well, we've got a couple minutes left in the program. Let me just ask on behalf of this listener this particular question. It says, good afternoon, happy new year. So what is the rationale for the 3-month severance for retiring MPs? And have the rules for parliamentary pensions been amended too? Good questions, and questions that indicate that we have listeners and voters and members of our community who are informed, who are looking at the big picture, and who are looking at the impact of our actions now on tomorrow and on 20 years from now, on us as we are working, on us as we are retiring, on us as our children are coming into their own. And I don't know, maybe it's possible, but if you plant a seed today, you nurture it, it grows into a fruit-bearing tree. You take care of the tree, the fruit will take care of you. Some of us are very much about immediate gratification, and so we see the tree in full bloom with all kind of fruit. We take it and we chop it down, and we get a bounty then and there, but there's nothing left for anything else. The matter that tree was, blooming and blossoming for the last 200 plus years. Well, whether it's to feed ourselves then, or to sell the fruit for a windfall, or to knock it down and develop the land for high-rise condos. That seems to be the mindset. But equally, what if the building needed to be, sort of readjusted to the site, maybe encroach the boundaries and in order to preserve the tree? Will our planning regulations and approval processes say, well, if you want to do that, boy, you got to cut that tree down? There's no scope to work the tree into the design, to maneuver the building in such a way that we don't only respect the tree. Maybe it's not a fruit-bearing tree, it's just some ornamental thing. Maybe some tree that has significant historical and cultural significance. I don't know. Again, what is our value and ethos? Where are we now? Where do we want to go? And maybe I can invite us all to consider strongly what is happening in this world. Whether you subscribe to the religious perspective of it being in the times and the division and discord and disharmony that is occurring, or whether you say, this is a society that to date has enjoyed a level of civility, a level of harmony, and we don't want any social disquiet. So how do we bring each and every one of us along, so at the end of the day we're working in unison? Wouldn't it be nice? But then there's also the flip side. We can go and hit each other and take licks, and at the end of the day, boy, let the chips fall where they may. I don't know about you, but wouldn't it be better that you at the helm instead of being hitched to something that is at the precipice and then going over, and before you know it, well, it's not the fire that you want. Refiner's fire maybe, but let's be rekindled in love. Invite you to enjoy the rest of our afternoon. It's only Tuesday, it's only the 5th of January, For many of us now, we already think it's March of 2025. But let's not rush life. Let's be gracious, and let's have a sense of gratitude. And let's have a healthy attitude of being loving and kind. And let's put honesty and integrity, a strong sense of ethical and honorable considerations in our endeavors. Even though, the vacation calendar says I'm off, well, thank God that I have the health and strength and the presence of mind and the job to come to that I can be here. So join us again tomorrow for more Talk Today right after the midday news and midday meditation. Let's work together. Let's keep each other accountable, and let's work hand in hand with a contrite heart to make this country even better. And when we look in the mirror, let's not be ashamed of what we see, and let's not be afraid of the work that lies ahead. Until tomorrow, my friends, be blessed.